Started. I'm Steve DeLaRoche. I'm the Special Magistrate for Code Enforcement for the City of Daytona Beach Shores, and we're here for our monthly hearings on code enforcement agenda. The way this will work is I will call the cases. The city has the burden of proof. They will go first. They will present their case. You have an opportunity then at that time to ask them any question you would like, to cross-examine them, if you will. If you have no questions for them, then I will give you a chance to present your case, evidence, or argument. If at any time, and it is your case, not someone else's, I'm more than happy to explain your options and how the procedure works. Okay, the first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the last meeting. I realize that the two lay people we have here were not here before, so you have no idea whether or not the minutes are correct. Any objection to the approval of the minutes? Okay, there never is. And the first case we have is AD1 Daytona Hotels LLC, case number PCDEF 2020-80. Is there anyone here on behalf of that property? And ma'am, your name is?
It's Becky Darnell.
Okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Herstein? And this is a compliance 2 hearing, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good morning. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to ask that each of the documents provided by the city and the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate notebook for this case be accepted as evidence along with the slides in the PowerPoint for this case.
Okay. Ms. Darnell, were you provided a copy of the documents the city intended to use as well as the pictures?
Yes.
And do you have any legal objection to the introduction into evidence?
No.
Okay. Then they shall be received into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you stated, this is a second compliance hearing for a case involving 2 expired permits. One was for a tiki hut, one for a $400,000 plus concrete restoration of walkways on the 6-story hotel. At the initial hearing, which took place on March 17th of this year, the property was found in violation. The respondent was given 90 days, which was until June 15th, to become compliant, or fines of $200 per day would accrue. June 15th, the compliance date. When I evaluated on the 17th, non-compliance was still the case on all counts. Actually, that's, yes, on June 15th, there was still non-compliance for all 3 violations. So an affidavit of non-compliance was generated at that time. We had a first compliance hearing for this property on July 21st. His Honor found that the property had remained in violation beyond June 15th, and an order imposing fine and lien was generated. You can see that beginning on page 4A14. The tiki hut had become compliant 2 days before the first compliance hearing, but 34 days after the compliance date that had been ordered. There was just a reminder of the tiki hut where it had been in the yellow overview, and the below picture with the green showing that on July 19th we had been able to verify that it had been removed, removing the necessitation of a permit. In mid-August, the contractor for the other expired permit contacted us to discuss re-permitting the concrete walkway work and finishing the job. They've been able to work something out with the owner. The replacement permit was obtained on August 24th, and the final was scheduled and then rescheduled by the contractor to happen on August 30th. It passed. There is an inspection sheet for that final inspection on page 4A19.
So It only took 6 days to perform the work?
They, from what we understand, they may have been doing other work to finalize. They may have slightly altered the scope of the work, though I don't believe so. I think they were substantially complete, although I had been told by the owner of GC Contractor Services that it was not done fully, that it could not be final approved. So there may have been some touch-up work that needed to be done, or they wanted to take a final look. But I had been told all along that it was not complete, and then you're absolutely right. There was a very quick turnaround time from the time they got the permit to the time that they were ready for the final inspection.
What exactly did they do that it only took 6 days? Because you said it was $400,000 to redo the concrete walkways?
Concrete walkways, kind of like balconies, but instead the part that you walk on to get to your hotel room, as you can see. I don't have a picture of that for you this time. As far as what they did in that time frame, I can't say, but I was told along there it wasn't final, it wasn't complete, and well, I don't want to speculate. But sometimes contractors will say it's not done, that it's not ready for final inspection if they haven't been paid, because once it finals, then that's one of the ways that they can continue to attempt to get paid, is by not having that final done.
Okay. So the 6 days really had nothing in relation to do with the amount of work that had to be done?
When they obtained the permit on the 24th, we tried to schedule it at that time. We were just going to do a progress to see where exactly things stood. But we wanted somebody from the company to be there to walk us through, because it had been so long, to know where things stood. And they scheduled it for a couple days out. I think it was picked up on a Tuesday possibly, and they scheduled it for Thursday, and then they called back and rescheduled it to the following Monday, which I think was the 30th. It was more of a scheduling issue than necessarily work that needed to be done, although they could certainly have gone out and looked for themselves to make sure that everything was done. I'm not certain, and possibly Ms. Darnell can answer that.
Okay.
So August 30th was the final inspection. We did receive the final engineer's report the following day, which is also a required item to close out the permit. So we did do an affidavit of compliance using August 30th date as the compliance date. You can see that affidavit of compliance beginning on 4A16, with an end result being 75 fined days, accruing to a total of $15,000, with $92.43 in administrative fees previously imposed, still owed. Additional fees of $134.93 are requested at this time for today's hearing, with a new affidavit on page 4A26 visible for those fees. So basically, we're bringing the property before you to consider that $15,000 in outstanding accrued fines, and then the already imposed $92.43 in administrative fees, and the new fee of $134.93.
Okay, and the 9243 generally is within 60 days, so that would have expired September 12th.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
It not having expired necessarily, but the time frame that within which you ordered it to be paid. From what I understand, they're aware, the folks are aware that it does need to be paid, that it is still outstanding, and they wanted to consolidate their payment in one.
Okay.
I would like to bring Steve Edmonds to the podium, if I could, in case His Honor has any questions for him.
All right. Morning, Mr. Edmonds.
Morning.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I guess I'm just going to ask the question because that's what I want to know. What is it that they did to the concrete walkways?
Well, they replaced all the walkways, but most of them were done. They chipped the whole east or west balconies off the building, reformed them, repoured them all. They had some other minor restoration that still needs to be done to the building in different areas. It was not part of this permit, so when I talked to the contractor, I said it'd be easier, instead of holding this permit, keeping it open and adding it to it is just to do it under a different permit later. When I was there, he already had the engineer's report where the engineer looked at it. That was the other thing that we were waiting on, is a sign off from the engineer.
Okay, and they did all 6 floors?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so the August 24th to August 30th didn't really have much to do with the project?
No.
Okay, because I was saying, doing all of that in 6 days.
Yeah, no, it was all done before that. It was just a matter of just getting all the final certifications and stuff and a final inspection.
Do you know when it was done?
I want to estimate probably at least 6 months before.
Okay, all right.
Because like I said, they were just finishing up the last floor when I think the owner had some issues with financing or something, and so they were just finishing up, and then that's when it kind of stopped.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Ms. Darnell, do you have any questions for either of the city employees?
No question.
Okay. And Ms. Herstein, does the city have any recommendation at all?
Your Honor, we generally don't offer a recommendation at a second compliance hearing. Compliance has been achieved, which is the office's stated goal. And there may be things that you might want to hear from Ms. Darnell that might compel you to make a decision, but the city doesn't have a specific recommendation.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, one last thing. I noticed in the correspondence, there was an attorney attached to this.
Ms. Gabriella Wink?
Yes. Were you expecting her here today?
I was not. They had given authorization to represent for Ms. Darnell for the last hearing, and it does carry 2 subsequent hearings for the same case. Certainly, she was told that it was absolutely acceptable if she wanted to come. And she's not in town, I don't believe, so I did not expect her to be here today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Darnell, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes.
Please come on forward. All right, would you mind raising your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to say? Now, before we get started, just for the record, the city has calculated and have verified the fines at $15,000. That's 75 days at $200 a day. And there remains outstanding the administrative fee of $92.43. And they're requesting $134.93 for this hearing. And I imagine that you would like me to do something about your fines.
Yes, I am representing my company.
Okay.
Of course, any assistance would help. It is a substantial amount. I understand that we were not compliant. I can offer any information, subsequent information that you have on what's going on at the hotel. I guess my question, the original order had $200 a day for the 2 permits, tiki bar and the concrete. We did remove the tiki bar as soon as my company allowed that. I'm wondering if that would assist in reducing the fines at all.
Okay, so what you're saying is you believe that each of the permits was worth $100 a day?
Again, I'm not an attorney, I am the general manager. I just,
Well, I can't make the argument for you.
Yes.
I'm trying to infer, but you have to say it. I can't.
so here's the situation. So we were under construction. It began May of 2019.
Okay.
And that is actually when the concrete started. It took almost a year. I mean, that's a lot of work. And it was the funding issue. So, and I don't expect you to remember anything that I've said in previous hearings, but they underestimated the scope of work for what this was going to take to renovate and convert to the Hilton property. And at the same time that we were realizing we needed more additional funding, then COVID hit. So I don't think there were a lot of bankers lining up to loan hotels money. We also are solely hotel management and development. So the rest of our portfolio dried up, suffered, still suffering. None of them are sitting oceanfront. Ironically, I think I would probably be okay if I was open. So their resources.
So when do you anticipate you're going to open?
Right now Hilton has it in April.
Oh, wow, that's a long ways out.
It is, but there is still some work to do. And the positive that I was concerned about for my own well-being and future of bringing my employees back, we did receive funding with a new lender. But that didn't happen until April of this year, maybe after. So that's positive. We also, that is the reason that Glenn halted his work from GC Contractor. So most of the work was completed on his end that I know of. I mean, Steve would know more about that, but we did have the inspection. And I believe what happened there in the past, the communication was done through our GC, our contractor. And then once my corporate officers could focus on my property, they are communicating with him directly. So he had only positive comments, was happy that they're working with them. My legal department is also involved. And so the job is moving forward. I mean, that's what I'm hoping, and that's what I hoped for. So again, I know that it's just asking for help, and some of the things that we need to clear up. The lender is still doing their due diligence. And things like this, clearing up our violations, we have to do before that happens. But
Okay. I can understand certainly why you'd like relief from this. Can you give me some sort of mathematical formula that I can grant you relief on? Or some reason besides the fact that you want it?
well, I mean, my reason is just cooperation. I fully cooperate with code enforcement. I wish that we didn't know each other so well. I tell her that all the
You'd
time.
notice she called Mr. Edmonds Steve, so
I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't.
No,
have-
no, no,
I'm
no.
not casual
That's
at all here.
fine with me.
It's, I don't have a mathematical equation. I don't have a law degree. I don't know the statutes. But just as a local manager and wanting this to move forward, and that we did remove the tiki bar. I don't know if that takes some of it off of the original order. We kind of removed that from the equation, I believe.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I just appreciate you guys listening to us, and
Okay. Does the city have any questions?
We do not, Your Honor.
All right.
Actually, I'm so sorry. I just said we didn't. Actually, I do. Ms. Becky, I heard you say, and I was surprised to hear that funding was actually achieved in April of this year.
well, I can only tell you when they started coming to the property. I had the lender's representative, I don't believe it was April, I'm sorry, that might be wrong, but not much longer than that after.
Okay, so you do have funding in place to move forward.
100%.
That's excellent news for the
And
city.
again, yes, and he's very encouraged, he knows the market. He knew that it was a no-brainer to go ahead and get us open, which again, for a hotel right now, that's kind of impossible to think that anyone would help us out, but he wants to get it open. And they've had their appraisers come and engineers as well.
Okay, so do you foresee any other barriers to moving forward? I know it's slightly unrelated, but important in a
That's
holistic
quite right. Our-
context.
Goal here is to make sure that properties return to commerce, not
Yes.
to fine people and give them a hard time.
And again, there have been moments when I did not think that was going to happen. But now I'm positive that it's going to happen. It's in the works. And like I said, it's due diligence that, again, I'm not qualified, I'm not a banker. But I know, obviously, we need to clear up. They want everything to be clear with the city, with vendors, with contractors, subcontractors, and that we've had in the past. So this is part of it. But every chance, and also we have the complete support of Hilton. That's good. And yes, I want us to be a contributor to the community. That's the goal.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right. I did hear the argument that one of the two violations was cured on July 19th. And while the order did not specifically say that the fines accrued in increments based upon the violations, what I'm going to do for you is I count that your tiki hut was in compliance 42 of the 75 days. So I'm going to reduce the fine by $4,200. So the fine imposed is $11,800, together with the previously owed administrative fees of $92.43 and the new $134.93. The administrative fee will be paid within 10 days, the $92.43, the $134.93 within 60 days. And how long do you need to pay the $18,800?
18,000.
I'm sorry, $11,800. My mistake.
What are the time frames?
Well, how about 90 days from
That's
now?
fine. I think it'll be sooner, but that'd be
Okay, so you have 10, 60, and 90. All right?
perfect.
Any questions whatsoever?
No, I appreciate it.
If you, wait 1 second, if you do not agree, your next step is an appeal to the Daytona Beach Shores City Council.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right, yes, Ms. Hurstein?
Thank you, Your Honor. And will the fine, if not paid in 90 days, revert to the full original, or will it stay at?
Yes, it will revert to the full original,
Completely understood.
and then a lien, and then other unnice stuff.
No.
Okay?
All right. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm sorry. Do we get?
It'll be reduced to writing, and His Honor will sign it, and then it'll be hand-delivered to you if that's most convenient. It'll also be sent to the home office.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, the next case we have is an initial hearing. It is property owners David Campbell and Marjorie Yapao. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. It is CDEF 2021-30. Is David Campbell or Marjorie Yapao? Are you Mr. Campbell?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Mr. Campbell, why don't you sit in the front row so you can hear? You've already had a taste of how this works. The city goes first. You get a chance to ask any questions you'd like, and then I'll let you present whatever you would like.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? All right. Ms. Hurstein, I know that you've been previously sworn.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, I have. I would like to, I'm actually not going to ask that the documents be entered into the record. This case was scheduled to be heard for the first time today for violations occurring on 2 small apartment buildings and the grounds. Though good service was achieved for both the notice of violation and the statement of violation request for hearing and notice of hearing, 2 days ago, basically Monday morning, I received calls from an attorney newly representing the property owners, basically requesting a continuance from today's hearing.
Okay. Do you have anything in writing from
Yeah,
that
I
attorney?
do. An email followed that same day, and if I may approach, I would.
Yes, please. May I see it?
There are 3 different, there were 3 attachments,
Campbell Legal Group.
and one has been provided to the city clerk.
Okay. Debbie R. Campbell, Esquire. Mr. Campbell,
Yes, Your Honor.
are you familiar with Debbie R. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she represents you?
Yes.
And you agree with her request for a continuance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Out of curiosity, is she a relation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, good for you. Having looked at this, let's see, the request, extension of time until October 15th. Is the city have any objection to this?
The city would like you, like His Honor, to, if inclined to grant the continuance, to continue it to the date certain of October 20th, which is the next regularly scheduled code enforcement hearing.
That does make sense. We're not going to specially convene on October 15th. So Mr. Campbell, anything else you'd like to say?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then, having reviewed the request for continuance, finding it reasonable as it only requests 30 days, I'm going to grant this and reschedule it to our next scheduled meeting, which is October 20th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right? All right, Mr. Campbell, you're free to leave if you'd like. You don't have to, of course. Not kicking you out.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, well, really the only thing we have left are closing remarks, which is to announce the scheduling. October 20th, 2021 at 9 a.m. is our next meeting. Then there is no November meeting. December 1st, 2021. Hopefully the events of last year will not repeat. And then January 19th. All right, well, unless somebody else has anything to say,